Uh-oh, you guys. Looks like we have some invaders. Hey, what are you naughty calves doing up here? You know you're not smart to be in this part of the barnyard. How'd they do this, Abby? What happened here? I see you there, Meatloaf. You know this isn't where you belong. Get back in there. I'm gonna have to close this gate off. Of course, maybe they got thirsty because their water froze up. So today marks the first day of the year that it looks like I'm gonna have to bust out the shovel to get some water for the cattle. Okay, kids, I got your fresh water. Come and get it. Uh-oh, Meatloaf, it looks like the pond is frozen too. Princess Buttercup, you want some water? Howdy, Elvis. How's it going, buddy? You let me pet you? And look at King Macho Man. He's just sitting in his bed of hay. You're wasting all the good hay there, guy. So this bull is the father of all these calves that you see wandering around here. The calves are going through their weaning process right now, so they're actually separated from their moms who are in that yard over there. And I will admit that things on the farm right now are starting to feel like a weird 1980s sitcom of a single dad stuck with his 6 children. And yes, as you can hear too, it's also rather noisy here on the farm because the moms want to give their milk to their babies, the babies want to drink their milk, but it's actually the time when I need to cut them off so that the moms can have a little bit of a rest and be ready to have next year's calves. Hey Curly Sue, how's it going? How are you doing, Sly Stone? Yeah, it looks like Princess Buttercup made it to the water. Yeah, good drink there? Don't worry, I'll fill it up more a little later this morning. So I think where I last left things with you guys was we had the moms down in the lower pasture, but the calves and Macho Man were in the upper pasture. And well, yesterday I was able to sort through that nonsense. Come on, you guys, come on. Come on, let's go, come on. I want you to go with your dad. LV Joe, come on. Come on, Sly. Pick up the pace. Stick with everybody. Come on, guys, let's go. Here, I'll move that bale if you guys can go through that door. Come on, Loaf. Buttercup, I'm talking to you. Let's get everybody through the gate. That's what we want to see. And so yes, we are officially out of grazing season. There are no more cattle out in the upper pasture. I have the kids spaced out a little bit, but probably by next week, I will close off this paddock right behind me, and the boy calves, so Elvis, Meatloaf, and Sly Stone, they'll stay here with Macho Man, and the girls will go across the way with their moms. Meatloaf, you are beating the heck out of that chicken tractor there. A friend of mine by the name of John Siskovich, he actually is the guy who designs these. I guess he'd be happy to know that these are cattle tested. And while they can't take a ton of cattle damage, they are structurally engineered to hold up to a fair amount of Meatloaf. Hey, Macho Man. So yes, it is daddy daycare time with Macho Man here. Isn't that right, buddy? I'll have to get my brush and brush them out in a little bit. So Abby Dog typically does a really good job of keeping the cattle out of the front part of the barnyard where all the poultry are. But I have noticed that the one animal that she doesn't try to redirect and tell where to go is Macho Man. I'm actually okay with that. Time to feed the weirdos. Oh. Okay, the weirdo water is frozen solid. But don't worry, Pingu, I got fresh water for you right here. Oh, poor little Bluey. She's jealous. The goats have to wait because I have to do bird chores first. If I let the goats out too soon, they try to sneak into the greenhouse with the birds and they try to eat the bird food, so that's no good. So that's why we do the birds before we do the goats. Morning, birds! How's everybody doing this morning, huh? Hey, Honky Kong. How's it going, buddy? Who would like some kitchen scraps? So the ducks and geese will bathe themselves by going in the water, but the chickens like to take dust baths, and so I usually like to give them the ash from our wood stove and let them take a dust bath in that. But yeah, overall I would say the ducks and geese and chickens have been settling in quite nicely into their winter quarters, and so, I don't know, there's not too much news to report. I think the biggest thing is I'm not getting many eggs. Like right now we get, I don't know, usually about 1 duck egg and 2 chicken eggs a day, which actually for this time of year is quite normal, and so I'm not concerned. But it does mean we eat far fewer eggs this time of year, because usually the eggs we do have end up getting used for baking. And it's just one of those examples where your diet on the farm changes based on the time of year, where it's like the summer months easily had me every single day eating some sort of egg scramble with vegetables from the garden. At this point, the only vegetable that we're still getting from the garden is kale, and we still have all of our storage stuff. But like I said, the eggs are definitely getting slim, and we don't really have any other fresh vegetables. But the flip side of that is we do have like a lot of the meat that we harvested in the fall. So like we're eating plenty of chicken meat right now and plenty of duck meat. And actually, I think in about a week or so, I'm going to be getting the beef back from the butcher. And so, like, our freezer is stocked, but it's not the same foods that I would have eaten in the summer. And honestly, I kind of like that. I like being able to eat seasonally the way we do, and having different times of year mean different menus. It's actually kind of nice. Gives you a little bit of a break. And by the time we get flush with eggs again this spring, I will be so ready for it and excited for it versus, I don't know, this time of year, eggs are fine, but they're not something that you get excited about. Okay, now it's time to let out our neglected goats. Come on out, girls. How's it going there, Barnacus? Good to see you, buddy. What's up, Telemachus? And how's our Larn? Good to see you, pal. What you nibbling on there, Bluey? Those are just my fingers. I don't have anything for you. I think I showed you guys this in the last video, but one of the more amusing things to watch is the goats interacting with the cattle. They generally are getting along pretty well, and they share some hay right now, but eventually as we get deeper into the summer, when I actually yard off the cattle, they will be less likely to share. Come on, guys, let's go say hi to the cows. Even though technically there are no cows on this side of the aisle. They're all either heifers or steer calves or bull calves or bull. Somehow Toby Dog is posing with the bird catching net like he's had a very long night. How you doing, pal?
Oh, you're such a good boy.
He's like, why are you waking me up from a nap? Hang on, girls. I gotta pour fresh water. Hang on. Excuse me, Blue. There's nothing in here for you. It's empty. It's an empty bucket. I'm gonna fill it with water right now. I'm also gonna start getting the water for the cattle ready. There you go, girls. Have a drink. Now, the folks who've been watching our videos for years understand why I do this, but when it comes time to get water to the cattle this time of year, I have kind of a crazy system of hoses that go up and down all around the farm. And that's because I've set them up in a way that they can like automatically drain themselves. That way the hoses don't get water stuck in the middle and they don't freeze, and makes a big difference, as you will see in just a moment. So I basically just have this one hose that I keep coiled up right over here, and when it's time to pour the water in the morning, I just have to simply uncoil the hose, connect it to this, then I just gotta flip this switch. Ta-da! Fresh water for the cattle. It takes about 22 minutes to fill up this trough and about 16 minutes to fill up the other trough. So Annabelle, it's gonna require just a little bit of patience from you. Now you guys might be wondering why I have such a long hose. And that's because as soon as I'm done with the ladies, using the same exact connection point, and I don't even have to turn the water off, I can run that hose all the way over to here so that the kids can get their water. Honestly, dealing with water in winter up here in Vermont is one of the harder parts about raising animals this time of year. But once you get a couple of good systems in place, it does make everything so much easier. I think back to like the first winter I was ever raising animals, and I would have to take 8 5-gallon buckets that I would carry by hand from the house because the spigot in the barn was broken. And I'd have to carry it all the way up to this shed right here, which was where my ducks were living at the time. And let me just tell you guys, it was daunting. Release the Kraken! They're like, dude, this is a wicked lot of snow, bro. So much snow. So I got 2 fresh eggs this morning, so that's good. And I got them before they froze, which is double good. I'm glad I did it that way that first year, and it taught me a lot of stuff. But when I look back on it, I definitely would not want to do it again, which I feel like is most of the stories I have about the farm. You know, I've got this new book coming out called Dirt Rich Living. And if you pre-order it, it would be awesome. But what I tried to do inside that book is just tell all those little stories of the farm and the lessons learned and kind of like bring that to life for folks. And so that is the new book. It is coming. If you pre-order it right now, there are all sorts of pre-order bonuses that you're gonna get. And it also does me like a huge solid. So if you get a chance, why don't you purchase your copy of Dirt Rich Living, or buy several copies for several people in your life. And come February, when the book comes out, you can like be passing it out like a February Santa Claus who's just like really late on gift giving. Oh man, Macho Man, what are you doing in there? I gotta admit, I don't love it when he goes into the goat yard, because I'm afraid there's like some stuff that he could really mess up if he got caught in something, because it's built for goats and not bulls. Let's see if we can coax him out of there. I got your favorite. Come here, buddy. All right, here, I'll get you a couple bro strokes inside the yard first. How about that? Oh, you're such a good big bull. You're so big right now. God, man. It is amazing how much he has grown. I remember when he was like no bigger than Elvis Presley was right now. Now he is massive, but he is a very gentle giant, as evidenced by the fact that he lets me even go underneath here. Good boy. All right, come with me and we'll do the other side. Come on, Macho Man. Good boy. All right, want me to get the other side? Oh, you're such a good macho man. You are, man. And that is why I'm actually not too worried about having my bull running loose in the barnyard, because I know that anytime I do need to get him to come, he's totally willing. Come on, Macho Man. Truth be told, he is the easiest to handle of all my bovines, without even anybody being even a close second. And I guess for that reason alone, I'm kind of grateful for that. The other thing I'm grateful for is the fact that because of the way my winter routine now shapes up, I'll be able to brush him a lot more. You know, in years past, it was always kind of dangerous with Joey Ramone in there, but because he's very much established as the much bigger, more dominant animal relative to his sons, I'm a lot less worried about some of the jostling and fighting I used to have to watch out for with Macho Man and Joey. Which is not to say I don't need to be careful, but it's just simply to say that it is less risky. And now my timer just went off telling me that my water trough is just about full. So I can just basically hot swap by taking this hose and running it over to where the boys are. I will admit that Macho Man is kind of an intimidating bouncer when I need to get through the gate. Now, once I've turned off the water, I can just simply pull this hose and then just let gravity drain out the hose, so it'll be empty and ready to use for tomorrow, even if we have weather that's in the 20s again. Well, hello there, Ginny Barncat. How are you doing on this sunny November morning? Ginny is the most good-natured cat I have ever interacted with. Like, I know a lot of people will say like, oh, my cat's the friendliest cat ever. It's like, no, actually my cat is the friendliest cat ever. And this comes from a person who has other cats who I will say are objectively not friendly. You know, Lil Barncat pretty much hates all other humans except for me and sometimes not Allison. Pablo Barncat, while he's a sweetheart to Allison, can be pretty unpredictable and sometimes even dangerous for anybody else. But when it comes to baby Gins, all she ever wants is to be petted and to be close to you and to do really loud purring. And there really is something to be said for that. Isn't that right, Jin? This kind of feels like the last trip up here for the year. I mean, I'm sure I'll be up here once or twice more, but it's always weird for me when I go from coming up here twice a day for, I don't know, about 5 months, almost 6 months, and then suddenly I just stop coming to this farm other than like say maybe once a month, or if I'm coming out here to hunt or something like that. Of course, I do have to go find our Christmas tree in about a week or two. I am trying to get better about not just leaving all my crap up here and taking it down for the season, which is the purpose of this trip. Fence posts. I gotta put these away and store them in the barn. Again, another example of something I use constantly and then like not at all. Of course, this time of year, I also like to come back here and open up all the gates. That way, if I have a deer that gets stuck up here, they don't try to break their way out and cause a whole bunch of chaos. Actually, you know, one thing while I am out here, I think I'm gonna do is, let's go look for some trail cameras. Here lies the remains of Joey Ramone, as well as, I don't know, I think I have a whole bunch of duck and goose feather piles still right here. But I also happen to have a bunch of trail cameras stashed over here. So let's take them down and see what we got on the camera. You know, looking at the footage here, it is always interesting to see what scavengers come out for the remains of my animals. You know, whether it's the guts from the chickens and the geese and the ducks earlier this fall, or when I've done pigs in the past, or even taking the remains and intestines and all the nasty bits from Joey Ramone and putting him out in the pasture. It is interesting to see what sort of assortment of creatures come for the feast. And looking at some of the most recent footage that I've just shot in the last couple of weeks, it's the usual suspects. A whole bunch of coyotes, turkey vultures, crows and ravens, and then even some other characters like a fox will make its appearance. You know, sometimes it's funny to look at both foxes and coyotes side by side in the same places, and you start to see some of the real physical differences between them, both in terms of size and just furriness and all of those interesting elements as well. You know, some folks might think it's a bad thing that I do this. Some folks think that I'm actually encouraging wildlife to try to eat my farm animals. Yet, for me, the way I really see it, it's kind of like the tax I have to pay to the wilderness. And, you know, I could be paying that tax a number of different ways, whether it being them just taking my birds, you know, picking them off one by one as they need them, or I can do other things. And because I have the livestock guardian dogs, they generally keep the birds pretty safe. But it also leaves me wondering, well, what is a good way to give back? And I always feel like taking the remains of the butchering of my animals and letting that be a feast for certain animals right before they have to go into the extremely lean months of winter. I don't know. Some people might think it's me getting caught up. Some people might think it's me getting over emotional. Some people might think it's me anthropomorphizing animals and not just treating them like animals. But I don't know, the act of doing this, which I usually do a version of this at least once or twice a year in the fall, it feels good to see it enjoyed. I think that is like the inherent challenge and trade-off that exists when it comes to raising livestock, raising animals for meat, consuming meat just in general. Even if you don't raise those animals, like, it's one of those things where to participate in the system, sometimes there's some give and sometimes there's some take, and that's just kind of the way it works out. You know, another example of this is, like, I didn't do it this morning, but definitely yesterday morning, and I plan to do it tomorrow morning. I'm going out for deer hunting season again. We have a very tiny window where rifle season is allowed here in Vermont, and I, you know, try to take as much advantages of it as I can. It's kind of nice and easy for me because I can just basically hop on the e-bike, and I have a hunting stand already set up in the back corner of the pasture, like in a spot that I've been watching with trail cameras all summer, and sort of have a general sense of who's moving and where is moving. And there's these two bucks, one's a little bit younger, one's a little bit older, that I've got my eyes on. And I don't know, that's, I guess, another version of me trying to take from the wilderness. And so me giving a bucket full of guts back to the wilderness doesn't feel bad at all. You know, it's funny, in my new book, Dirt Rich Living, which, as I keep saying, is coming out this winter, and please pre-order it. There's a whole chapter about this idea of how I ultimately want to get eaten by a bear, and I kind of explain why and how that all plays with the farm. And I don't know, I guess watching that trail camera footage makes me think of a very similar thing. So now you guys might be wondering where I'm heading right now, and well, I have a good answer for that. I am going to my butcher, and I've got to go do a pickup, because I'm going to pick up the other remains of Joey Ramone. The butcher's had him for a couple of weeks. He's now got all the weights and all the cuts. Half of the animal is actually staying on the farm, and that's going to be the beef that Allison and I eat with friends and family and people who come and visit. And the other half I've actually sold to a customer. And so yeah, that's just another part of the process. And yeah, I'm on my way to do the pickup, which is something you will see in the next video, as well as I'll give you all the tallies and information in that next video as well. So be sure to subscribe. And thanks for watching, everybody.